Amadeus, 2 centuries ago. Little Amadeus, the star of Rococo, master of harmonies, beautiful melodies, operas and symphonies, each one a masterpiece.
Good evening, Your Majesty. Oh, good evening, Princess.
Oh, glad to see you, Minister. We are watching Little Amadeus.
How do you like that, Princess Elizabeth?
I think it's very nice.
I'm so happy Your Highness enjoys it.
Well, my dear, it's around 9 o'clock. Would you like to say good night?
Good night, Father. Good night, Minister.
Good night, my
Princess.
darling. Minister, your idea of applying animation into young learners' classroom is incredibly successful. Children really enjoy them and learn a lot. Elizabeth told me just now that she adores Mozart and would like me to find her a music teacher.
So glad to hear that, Majesty. Interest and attractiveness, these are essential stimuli in teaching young learners. An educator should be ever ready to learn and reflect new concepts in order to keep pace with social development, and therefore equip students for the challenges of the contemporary world. My travel this time inspired me to something new.
You are a model of that, my dear Minister. Tell me some news. How's the tour to the Language Kingdom?
Such a wonderful tour. I believe it must benefit greatly of the English language arts curriculum of our kingdom.
Very well then, Mr. Cabinet Minister. I think you've got my letter when you still travelled around Language Kingdom, haven't you?
Yes, Majesty. The letter in which Your Majesty wrote about our military training.
That's it. Well, Minister, I've read your recent research on English language arts.
Such an honour, Your Majesty.
Quite inspiring. I'm thinking about, would it be possible if we apply language arts, especially new literacies, into military coaching to change the present dissatisfaction? What do you think? Is it practical?
Oh, bravo, Majesty. Bravo, indeed. Your Majesty has just expressed what I was this very evening going to suggest.
Were you? Haha. Well, go ahead, please, Minister. I'd like to hear you.
Yes, actually I've finished a training curriculum and will bring it with me tonight, at least an outline of it.
You finished it, huh? Well, I can't wait to read it.
Here it is.
Wonderful. Great ideas and brand new. It will surely be helpful for our military training. Oh, St. Brave will be here in a few minutes. Let's try convincing him about this.
A good practice for language strategy.
Aha, Minister, you're absolutely right.
Good evening, Your Majesty.
Good evening, General. Here, Mr. Cabinet Minister has just got back from the Language Kingdom, and he brings with him a brilliant idea to promote our military training.
Good evening, Your Excellency. For military training, I had no idea that Your Excellency was not just a language professor. Well, please, I'd like to hear much more about it.
Good evening, Mr. General. In fact, it's a series of assistant curriculums applying language arts. Now, they include group activities for soldiers, coaching practice, and communication strategies for officers. And indeed, MMORPGs, both for soldiers and officers. You may like to read the outline.
My dear Minister, are you serious? But what's that? I'm sorry, Your Excellency, you call it what?
English language arts.
Ah, that's it. Your Excellency's language and arts, huh? Of course, we warfighters know nothing about that. We talk with arms and courage, don't we?
Mr. General, I am proud of our brave soldiers, and I respect all your efforts in training them. But armies are not only made by their equipment, my dear General. It's probably time for us to reconsider the communication issues, such as efficiency during coaching. Why don't we have a try at that?
That makes no difference. We are as we have always been. Might I remind Your Excellency, it's impossible to change us into language professionals within these language arts.
But it is highly possible to streamline the army and raise its combat effectiveness.
By your language arts?
By your training, applying the language arts.
So, Your Majesty also insists?
I insist.
General, why do we cancel today's training practice?
We don't, but make a change in its content. We're having trainee practice of MMORPGs today.
Why, sir? What's that?
You'd better ask Mr. Cabinet Minister.
Why, sir?
My pleasure to explain. MMORPG stands for Massive Multiplayer Online Role-Playing Game. The game we are going to play today is called Ever Ready. I bought it from the language Kingdom. It has a very well-designed virtual military world. Soldiers can make use of it to immerse themselves into a dynamic military world, experiencing verisimilitude, interaction, and training practice by player versus player serve. It will also help to develop their analytical reasoning, critical thinking, and problem-solving skills. As for you, it offers numerous opportunities to practice leadership, my dear officer. Let's go inside the camp and have a try.
Where do you stand on this issue?
That doesn't matter. We do it by royal decree. Don't you know His Majesty is benevolent to all things language and arts?
Fantastic, fantastic. This is the most wonderful trooping I've ever seen in my reign. How do you like your language arts training, young man?
Amazing, Majesty. Quite inspiring, and indeed exciting.
Haha. Well, I'll wager you are a very terror with all you have learned. Thank you for all your efforts, gentlemen.
All due to Your Majesty and Mr. Cabinet Minister.
Mr. General, you did excellent in achieving all that you did.
Oh, no.
I am sincere, General. We can't get this done if it wasn't for your previous days of countless work.
Yes, of course, Mr. General. You should be proud of yourself. We feel for you. I thank you not only for this, but all you have done for our peace.
I'm embarrassed, Your Majesty. Mr. Cabinet Minister, I now understand what you said to me, that armies are not just made up by equipment. I will focus more on communication strategy and coaching efficiency between officers and soldiers, and will make good use of that fantastic ever-ready